Something happened to you that you remember clearly. You were there. You saw it. You felt it. The details are specific. The emotion is real. And it never happened. Not in the way you remember it. Maybe not at all. Your brain did not record your life the way a camera records a scene. It constructed a story. And every time you have recalled that story, your brain has quietly edited it, adding details that weren't there, removing ones that were, adjusting the lighting, changing the cast, rewriting the ending to match what you now believe about the world. You are not remembering the past. You are rebuilding it. Every single time. This is not a flaw. It is not a sign of weakness or damage. It is exactly how human memory was designed to work. And once you understand the mechanism, you will never trust your own memory the same way again. In 1974, a psychologist named Elizabeth Loftus ran an experiment that would spend the next 5 decades making people deeply uncomfortable. She showed participants footage of a car accident. Then she asked them a simple question. Some were asked how fast the cars were going when they hit each other. Others were asked how fast the cars were going when they smashed into each other. One word changed. Hit versus smashed. That was all. The group who heard smashed estimated speeds nearly 30% higher than the group who heard hit. And when asked a week later whether they had seen broken glass in the footage, there was no broken glass. The smash group was far more likely to say yes. A single word had planted a memory of something that did not exist. Loftus had discovered something that nobody in science wanted to be true. Memory is not storage. It is reconstruction. And reconstruction can be manipulated by something as small as a verb. But why? Why would a brain designed by millions of years of evolution build a memory system this fragile, this vulnerable, this easy to corrupt? The answer is that it was never supposed to be a recording device. It was supposed to be a survival tool. And survival does not require accuracy. It requires speed. When your ancestor heard a sound in the grass that might have been a predator, they did not have time to carefully retrieve and review an accurate archive of every previous predator encounter. They needed a fast, pattern-matched, emotionally tagged response that told them run or don't run in under a second. Precision was a luxury. Speed was life. So the brain built a system optimized for speed, pattern recognition, and emotional relevance, not for accuracy. And that same system is running inside your skull right now, building your autobiography. Here is the mechanism. Every time you recall a memory, your brain does not simply play it back. It reconstructs it from fragments, sensory impressions, emotional tags, contextual cues, and reassembles them into something that feels continuous and real. But the act of reconstruction is itself an act of writing. The memory you retrieve is slightly different from the one you stored. It has been updated with your current knowledge, your current emotional state, your current beliefs about how the story should go. And then that updated version is what gets stored again. Not the original, the edit. Neuroscientists call this reconsolidation. Every time you open a memory, you make it temporarily unstable. You rewrite it. You close it again. And what you have closed is not the original file. It is version 2, or version 50. The memory you have of your childhood best friend, of your first day at school, of the argument that ended something important, every time you have recalled those events, you have changed them. The version you carry now may have almost nothing in common with what actually happened. In 1995, Loftus took this further. Working with a researcher named Jacqueline Pickrell, she ran the Lost in the Mall study. Participants were given 4 short descriptions of childhood events, supposedly provided by their family members. 3 of the events were real. One was entirely fabricated, a story about getting lost in a shopping mall at age 5, being frightened, and being rescued by a kind elderly stranger. None of it had happened. By the end of the study, roughly 25% of participants not only believed the false memory, they elaborated on it. They added details. They described the stranger's face. They remembered how scared they felt. They had built a complete, emotionally real memory of an event that had never occurred. And the implications of this are not comfortable. Because if a false memory can be implanted this easily in a laboratory, then every memory you have that was shaped by someone else's telling of it, every story you heard about your own past before you were old enough to form your own narrative, every argument you have ever had about what really happened, is suspect. There's one more layer. The memories that feel most certain are not necessarily the most accurate. In 1986, the day after the Challenger space shuttle exploded, psychologist Ulrich Neisser asked his students to write down exactly where they were, what they were doing, and how they heard the news. 2.5 years later, he asked them to recall the same moment. Nearly half of the accounts were dramatically different from the originals. Some were completely unrecognizable. But here is the detail that matters. When shown their original written accounts, many students didn't believe they had written them. They argued that the written version was wrong and their current memory was right. The confidence was total. The accuracy was not. These are called flashbulb memories. The moments so emotionally charged, a disaster, a death, a shock, that the brain treats them as especially important and encodes them with a feeling of extraordinary vividness and certainty. That feeling of certainty is real. The accuracy it implies is not. The brain produces the sensation of remembering clearly whether or not the memory is correct. You are not the reliable narrator of your own life. You're the author of it. Every time you remember something, you are writing. The past you carry is not what happened. It is what your brain has decided, across dozens of quiet revisions, that you need it to have been. The only question worth sitting with is this. If the past you remember is already a fiction, built, edited, and rebuilt by a brain optimizing for survival rather than truth, then who, exactly, is the person doing the remembering?